Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you in Barcelona today. I'm Manuel Colombani. I'm a senior sales engineer at SoSafe. And over the next 30 minutes, we are going to explore together how cybercrime is evolving in 2025. We'll look at real data, the new tactics, evolving threats, and of course, what they mean for you. So without further ado, let's get started. As I just said, cybercrime doesn't stop. It evolves, it adapts, and in 2025, it's doing so faster than ever. At SoSafe, we have identified 6 major threats that are shaping and will continue to shape the present and the future of cybercrime. Let's start with the first one. I think it's a well-known one that's definitely changing everything, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful tools that we have today. It can help us to protect networks, automate critical decisions, and even correct code in real time. But here's the dilemma. The more we use it, the more we are exposed to new types of risks. We are seeing cases such as AI hallucinations, where systems actually make up information. We are also seeing overconfidence from humans into AI, and attackers are finding ways to bypass directly the controls. Indeed, it is also becoming a new attack surface, and we cannot ignore it. AI is not just a new risk area, it's also accelerating directly cybercrime like never before. 88% of employees can be profiled using publicly available data to create unique spear phishing. And this reduces the cost for attackers from 100 to 2%. And the worst part is that AI-powered attacks are already multiplying click rates, and we go from 12% to 54% with generative AI. The results are more believable, faster to produce, and cheaper and harder to detect. We are not just talking about AI as a tool for attackers. It's also becoming a new weak point within our own organizations. Companies are integrating AI at high speed, but often treating security as an afterthought, meaning that this opens the door to 5 clear attack vectors. First, with intrusion, breaking in, attackers gain access to poorly protected internal tools. Then, with sensitive data extraction, meaning that through logs and queries, they can get data. Third, with vulnerability mapping, by analyzing AI-generated responses. Fourth, with behavioral manipulations, directly in order to bypass controls, and ultimately with undetectable lateral movements within the network. The conclusion is clear. Securing our AI tools is no longer optional. And what's most concerning about AI? Well, actually, the pace. According to the World Economic Forum of this year, the trade of deepfake tools on dark webs grew by 223% in just 1 year. And 1 in 4 people has already been a victim of a voice cloning attack or know someone who has. Well, it's basically just not science fiction anymore. This is really happening right now, and we need to be ready. And to be ready, well, after seeing this full AI landscape, the key question is, how do we prepare? Well, employees can only respond if they know what to expect. And for that, we need to ensure that staff understand the real capabilities of AI, establish clear policies, create an AI governance group to oversee all activities, make sure that our AIs comply with regulations such as GDPR, for example, and be cautious when unifying those AIs. And to conclude on this part, the key is anticipation. The sooner we adapt, the better prepared we will be. We have just seen AI. For the second topic, we will be focusing on another phenomenon that are growing just as rapidly as AI, with multi-channel attacks. For a long time, email was, and well, it still is, the main channel for cyber attacks. But that has changed radically. Today, cyber criminals exploit every communication channel they can: phone calls, social media, collaboration tools, or, for example, as well, instant messaging. And they do this because they know by combining those channels, they will rise, the successfulness of their attacks. Additionally, pretexting. That is basically creating a believable story that tricks your employees. It remains the most common technique in social engineering. And the more channels we use, the more opportunities they get. To conclude, we can see as well that 94% of our reporters in our last human risk review saw a surge in multi-channel attacks across the past 12 months. And that brings us to a new level of sophistication, what is now being called 3D phishing. Cyber criminals not only settle for sending one email, as I just said, they now orchestrate multi-step campaigns across multiple channels and powered by artificial intelligence. And we were able to see it directly with the WPP case, one of the biggest advertising agency, whose CEO was targeted by a deepfake scam. In the face of multi-channel threats, we need a multi-layered resilience. A single technical control or a one-off training session is not enough. So 5 key actions. Ensure that staff knows that they will be targeted. The question is not if, but more when. Explain how attacks are evolving, how they combine channels, chain tactics, and become increasingly more convincing. Include modern simulations, not only phishing, email phishing simulation, but as well attacks via Teams, attacks via WhatsApp, not just traditional methods. Limit corporate communication to control tool with defined security patterns, and reassess basic access controls. Preparing for multi-channel is no longer optional. It's an urgent necessity. So we are already seeing AI multi-channel attacks, but let's now focus on another threat growing quietly, one that can be devastating: supply chain attacks. Because today, almost no organization operates in isolation. 93% of companies rely on third-party service to deliver their main value proposition. This includes everything from e-commerce, platforms, cloud services, logistics, to customer management, HR maintenance, or transportation, for example. That means that our cybersecurity no longer depends solely on what we do internally, but also on how we manage our vendors, partners, or external collaborators. And this is exactly what attackers see as a major opportunity. The target will be, as we know, the weakest link. And we need to identify those small failures. So, as I just said, here's the central issue. It's no longer enough to protect your own house. As we saw, 84% of companies have experienced an operational disruption to incident involving third parties. 66% have suffered direct financial losses as a result. And 59% have seen their reputation damaged. The main cause, 71% of this problem stem from security breaches or incidents caused by vendors with poor cybersecurity practices. This leaves us with a clear message. Our security depends on our partners and how we manage those relationships. So for this uphill battle that we do know that it's really complicated to, or almost impossible to win completely, we have some essential best practices. So first, create a clear inventory of third parties, of course. Then look for evidence everywhere, traffic logs, workstations, invoices, payments, and even supplier declarations. Third, classify third parties by risk level so you can prioritize your efforts accordingly. Invest in assessment capabilities, automated questionnaires, or external audits. And finally, avoid rigid dependencies and unnecessary complexity. We've talked about AI, multi-channel attacks, supply chain attacks. Right now, we'll be focusing on threats to personal identities because, well, it's not only about organizations, it's about people, identity theft, abuse, and in 2025, we know that our digital identity is the most precious asset. So, what we were able to see over the last few months is that the lines between personal and professional life have blurred. And that's opened a new door for attackers, or personal identities. They no longer need to go after the company directly. It's often enough to compromise home device, a social media account, or a personal password. A clear example is the one from LastPass. At LastPass, attackers installed a malware on an engineer's personal computer at home, and from there they stole directly critical credentials. And this is not an isolated case. 83% of security professionals say their organization has experienced cyber attacks originating from personal devices or accounts. Our digital habits outside of work are now part of the attack surface. So, in order to protect those digital identities, it's no longer just, well, we understood that it's not longer a corporate issue. We need to extend that protection beyond boundaries with, well, a security training into our personal life, including potentially communities, families. Then partner with tech providers to offer personal security tools at, well, discounted rate. Apply proven technical practices like MFA, VPNs, DLP, and device validation. And most importantly, talk to our families, talk to our children, because we know that digital extortion is not only targeting adults anymore, and it is already a reality. Personal cybersecurity is now inseparable from corporate security. So we've looked at technological and human threats that seems to affect everyone equally, but do they really affect everyone equally? The truth is that not all vectors, not all regions can defend themselves the same way. Cyber inequality is growing. Smaller businesses, public organizations, and vulnerable groups are being left behind as cybercrime advances, and this is not just an ethical issue. We need to assess this global risk. What we are seeing is a systemic vulnerability. On one side, large companies and highly regulated sectors continue to strengthen their resilience. On the other side, SMEs and resource-limited industries are struggling to keep up. 88% of experts agree that cyber maturity gap is widening, and that leaves many industries dangerously exposed. And pay attention to the second number. 35% of small and medium-sized business say that their cyber resilience is not sufficient. That's 7 times higher than in 2022. Cyber inequality is no longer just a question of capabilities, it's a collective threat. While regulations is necessary, it's not sufficient. We see sectors like finance making real progress, while critical infrastructure and local authorities are falling behind. Frameworks like NIS2 or DORA being improvements, yes, but they are often really broad, generic, and in many cases allow for compliance without true security. And remember, attackers don't target the best protected organization. They go after the long tail, they go after the vulnerable ones. That's why resilience cannot really solely rely on legal requirements. Last element, at the same time, this resilience gap has very real consequences. In the past year, there's been a 33% increase in the number of organizations reporting the lack of talent, lack of IT security talent needed to meet their security goals. And 38% of public sector organizations admit their cyber resilience is insufficient. The results? The public sector has become a top target for cyber criminals and state-sponsored attackers. And this is not anymore only a business topic. It's essential services, and it is citizen safety. If we cannot change regulation overnight, we can still take meaningful action from within, adopt recognized frameworks like ISO 27001, educate the regulators, learn from more mature sectors, and hold other departments accountable. Because it's not just about adopting best practices, it's about embedding them into the culture and the structure of the organization. After those 5 topics, let's go to the last one. Last one being the boom of cybercrime, because it is one cross-cutting factor that ties everything together. For years, we spoke about cybercrime as something occasional, isolated attacks carried out by individuals with technical skills. But today, the reality is very different. Cybercrime has become a global industry, highly organized, with specialized roles, business-like structure, and as a service platforms. As shown by the graph, the global cost of cybercrime went from 700 billion to a projected nearly 14 trillion by 2028. Today, every security breach carries massive financial consequences. This is no longer an hypothetical risk. In the face of, a complex landscape, the solution isn't to add more layers, more tools, or more processes. The key is simplification. First, we need to recognize that our attack surface is consistently expanding and clearly understand what's within our reach or what's not. Second, we need to, simplify whether it's possible. Every new technology layer at a cost, dependency, and potential weaknesses. Third, we need to consolidate those strategic partnerships with fewer vendors, maybe, but at the same time, more trustworthy. And finally, perhaps most important, build this cultural security awareness of how cyber criminals operate. Speaking about it, to conclude after those 6 topics, one simple sentence. Well, cybersecurity is not a future concern. You're all cybersecurity professionals, you know that. But it's a pressing issue right now. And if we want to face it successfully, the path is clear. Collaboration, innovation, and people. Collaboration between public, private sectors, for example. Innovation, especially with the use of AI and automated defenses. And last but not least, people. Our people. We must build a strong human defense because no technology is enough without aware and prepared users. Well, at SoSafe, we help organizations stay ahead by focusing on 3 strategic pillars. First, we will start with building solid foundations, ensuring you meet essential audit and compliance requirements. Then we move to, well, scaling and refining, where we want to go beyond awareness and drive real behavioral changes and build a sustainable security culture. And finally, we make it connected. We make it actionable. Because in order to do that, we will create guardrails for human behaviors. And this is how we are turning awareness into real-world resilience. In order to create this behavioral change that lasts, well, we are using a scalable, easy-to-use platform in order to help organizations to create these cultures that sticks and not only compliance. This is powered directly with a human-centered approach, meaning that what we want to do and what we believe in is we believe that people want to do the right thing. And most of the time, they don't have the capability to do it. So we need to empower them to succeed. We will make training and engaging, simplifying where others complicate, reaching people where they actually are, and looking at behavior holistically. In terms of product portfolio, you will be finding personalized micro-learning, multi-channel simulations, an AI security copilot, and a human risk OS to, at the end, invite your users to build a culture where we ignite curiosity, we simplify complexity, and consider behavior from every angle. This is the end of the presentation. Thanks a lot for your time. I think we have a few minutes if there is any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Manuel. If you've got a question, if you just raise your hand, I can come over and grab it.
And if not, well, we...
Nope, you got to stay, because I got a question for you. If they
perfect.
So first, I guess I'll go kick it off. One of the slides you talked about third-party inventory and the importance of understanding what is on your network. Do you have an example? How successful is that? It seems like it'd be a never-ending battle to try to keep up with everything that's on your network.
When you refer to example, what kind of example are you expecting?
I was just asking in general. Do you have a case where it's been successful?
I'm sure we have some successful cases in the room here. It is a must-do now. We live in an interconnected world where we were able to see interconnection between personal, professional life, between the supply chain. So knowing what's in your reach, knowing what's not in your reach, and same for your partners, professional partners, personal partners, this is a must-do, I would say.
Any other questions in the audience? Okay, we have one back here?
Over there.
It's hard to see from the light. Okay, thank you. Hold on.
Hi. First of all, thank you very much for your presentation. It's been awesome. So I totally understand the foundations of cybersecurity based on what you explained about NIST2, the CFS from NIST, etc. So my question is, for a small company, very small one, like 9, 10 people, NIST2 may be too much for them. So what would you recommend for them if they are, for example, an IT provider, or they actually work and understand the sector, but there are just too few people to focus on something like having a CISO, etc. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, and thank you for your comment and feedback. Regarding your question, I mean, the first thing coming to my mind would be assessing your resources. Your 10-person, 20, or even 50-person. We're even collaborating with corporate enterprise companies without any resources allowed to building this security culture in the company. I know you do have lots of budgets for firewalls, EDR, zero trust networks, but for security awareness, most of the time it's not perceived by leadership as important. But at the end, what is important? Where are those incidents coming from? Coming from people. I think, if I'm not wrong, about the last Gartner report, I think it's more than 70% of incidents coming from people, meaning that, well, if you're 10, in your case, you better know your own company cultures than I do. You know your people. You know what's impacting for them. If you don't have time, well, rely on a partner. But if you have time, try to include this motivation into the values of your company, from leadership to end users.
See any other questions? Thank you, Manuel. Appreciate it. Thank you for a great presentation.
It was a pleasure. You can visit us in stand D18 if you want to. Thank you.